Hi, and welcome to another Average Joe Hockey Report. In today's video, I'm doing a late playoff preview of the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Montreal Canadiens. It's the last playoff preview that I'm going to do for round one, and it's the only game that I haven't covered so far. Now, some of the notes that I wrote down was written before game one, but I haven't necessarily had a chance to upload that or talked about it or whatever, and I've only had a chance to say all this now. Now, as we all know, Carey Price, Philip Danault, Brendan Gallagher, and Shea Weber all returned to the lineup. Carey Price returned to playoff form in Game 1, but we'll see how long he can keep that up for. The only Montreal player that's probably not going to be returning back in this series is Jonathan Drouin, but we'll see how severe the injury to Jake Evans is, as he got banged up in Game 1. The injuries to John Tavares and Evans has forced each team to make changes. It's looking like the second line for the Leafs will be William Nylander, Nick Foligno, and Alex Galchenyuk, who draws in the lineup, while Jesperi Kotkaniemi draws into the lineup for the Montreal Canadiens, and will center Paul Byron and Artturi Lehkonen on what's predicted by Daily Faceoff as the fourth line. This series will show what Leafs goalie Jack Campbell and Montreal interim coach Dominique Ducharme are both made of. I'm not sold on either of them, by the way, to be honest. Yes, Campbell has had his best season, but I remember when James Reimer in his first season in Toronto went on a hot streak and that came to a crashing halt. I've watched a few of Campbell's games and can't necessarily say that I was the biggest fan of his side-to-side movement, and I find he gets deked out too easily unless the player making the deke forgets to raise the puck. So basically what I'm saying is when a player makes a deke, all they have to do is just raise it over the pad and make sure they don't miss the net, because Campbell doesn't seem to be able to slide with the player making the deke. That's why I find that Campbell gets deked out easily. Yeah. Haven't necessarily been a fan of Ducharme as a coach either. The only thing that's improved in his tenure in Montreal has been special teams. Questionable deployment, constantly switching the lines and at times having the wrong guys in the lineup are signs that his tenure will be one and done, should they get eliminated in the first round. Case in point with his moves to leave Cole Caulfield, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and Alexander Romanov out of the lineup for Game 1 and future games since Kotkaniemi draws back in for Game 2. I honestly think that some of these players, well, I know Kotkaniemi's in, but I think that Romanov should be playing, and Caulfield maybe should be playing himself too. While John Merrill, Brett Kulak, Eric Gustafsson, and Romanov have had their struggles, I honestly don't think that any of the defensemen mentioned, with the exception of the rookie Romanov, have deserved to have been consistently playing. If anything, a carousel between Merrill, Kulak, and Gustafsson would have been preferred until one of them proved worthy of being in the lineup, instead of having Gustafsson only play one game in May for the reason being of resting Jeff Petrie. In the end, regarding Ducharme, it's almost as if he clung on to Claude Julien's style of play and copied it, with the only difference being that Ducharme switches the lines more. And while Montreal did win Game 1, I wasn't necessarily a fan of Montreal's defense regarding zone exits, which is why I'm not necessarily the fan of sitting Romanov out. I feel like I'll give Ducharme this. He did say that in the future he will be needing the three mentioned. Well, of course, Kotkaniemi draws into the lineup, but I mean, this was mentioned in the while I was watching the Boston Bruins Washington Capitals game. Well, first of all, Craig Button wasn't a fan of sitting Caulfield as it is, and then the announcers for the Capitals Bruins games made valid points. They're saying when talked about needing them in the future, or they're going to be using them in the future, they're saying, so wait, are you saying that the current guys aren't going to be getting the job done? So yeah, I don't know. It's just cringe work. It's just cringy right now, basically. And there's a lot of cringe in regards to Dominique Ducharme as a coach. While Rasmus Sandin didn't look the greatest on the Paul Byron goal, the fact that he's getting playoff experience is a good thing for the Leafs going forward. He's only going to progress and improve, so having him playing is a good thing for the Leafs. Could Sandin even be Morgan Riley's partner in the future? Probably not as long as TJ Brody's around, but I could see Sandin progressing and even being better than Brody in the future. As for um, my prediction is me doing reverse psychology because last year I said that I hope the Penguins sweep the Habs to expose how the team is ran, only to have the Habs beat the Penguins. And I'd like to think that heads will roll, or Jeff Molson gets exposed as the thumb twiddler that he is, should the team stand pat and do nothing if they lose in the off season. But my prediction is that me giving the devil its due and predicting that the Leafs win, originally set in 5, but I'll say 6 now since Montreal won the first game. Because while Montreal had an answer for Austin Matthews in game 1, he still had quite a few scoring chances, and it's only a matter of time before he starts scoring. And they had no answer for him in the regular season. And in my opinion, the team is too cringy with how they are coached and how streaky they get, how hot and cold they get, or whatever, and etc. The following comments are only a prediction and may have no implications on how the series pans out or what is to occur in the series. So remember, if I'm wrong, don't belittle me, educate me. Take care, everyone, and follow my Instagram page, Average Joe Hockey Report, and my YouTube channel, Marty Tom.